this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. Thank you so much for joining us. This week we have USA Today bestselling author Chasity Bowlin. We have Mae Thorn and Cerise DeLand. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really grateful for you taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Okay. So we had 3 releases today. We've had some busy months at Dragonblade these past couple months, but we have 3 releases this week. And the first release this week was Cerise DeLand, and it's Lady Be Wantin'. I love the title for this one, and I love the covers with the cherries on it.
Yes.
It's the first book in the Naughty Ladies series. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes. Well, Lady Be Wantin' is about the second of 3 triplets, second oldest among 3 triplets, and they're Irish ladies, and they come from a family that has a few wee scandals, and they have been brought to Brighton, one of my favorite places in the whole world, to debut. It's 1815, it's August, the wars are over, and the Prince Regent comes, as he often does, to Brighton, and it's a social season. He's about to have his birthday. People come to Brighton, they rent houses or rooms, and these 3 ladies have certain problems. Imogen, the second born and the heroine of Lady Be Wantin', is a bit light fingered, or at least she was, and her tendency, shall we say, has been one that she's not been proud of. And so she has made a decision that she's not going to do that again. And she's going to find a husband who is worthy of her and worthy of her wit. And she does have that. And her beauty. She has no fortune, however. And the man that she meets is bent on revenge. He's been imprisoned and by Napoleon in a French fortress that I've been to, and Verdun in the east of France. Terrible place. And so he finds that she has humor that lifts his soul and is definitely what he needs. But of course, we have other challenges. He's after revenge.
That never works out the way you think it's going to.
That's right.
So for the rest of the series, do we get to follow the other sisters, or is there another way that the stories are connected?
Yes, there are 2 other sisters, of course. The second one is about the youngest, who's the beauty of the family, the diamond. And she, like many young women we know, is proud and rather upset that she is the beauty of the family and she has to bear this burden. Woe unto her. And then the last book is about the oldest, who has certain talents with her fingers in another way. She's a good pianist, but she can also forge documents. So this is
cool. These really are naughty ladies then.
Yes. And then I'm doing a 4th about their chaperone in the what's the one with the Duke coming out in July? Get Your Duke On.
Oh, Get Your Duke On, yeah.
So I'm writing a short one for that box set about their chaperone, and this is an older woman, younger man. So
fun.
Yes.
Regency Cougars, I love that.
Yeah, so I'm having fun writing this. I've done a lot of things over my career. Humor is what I'm into, and I like it to use it more broadly now. And the naughty ladies are definitely funny in many ways.
Oh, great. It sounds like so much fun. I was really curious because the series title is an unusual series title, and I thought I was wondering what it was that made the lady so naughty. So this is good,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
So our second release this week is Chastity's "You're When an Earl Loves a Governess," and that's a Hellion Club book.
Yes, it's the
Also
fifth
feels kind of naughty.
Well, they're not really Hellions because they're naughty. They're Hellions because they tend to not like being told what to do. They're very independent women, and independence in Regency England for a woman was tantamount to just full on rebellion against all things moral and right. So that's why they get called Hellions by everyone else. It's not what they call themselves.
Yeah. And this is the fifth book in the series?
It is the fifth. There are a couple of like other novellas. I don't know where they fall number wise because they're not happening chronologically with the rest of the series. So I don't know. There are a lot of those books, and there are going to be a lot more because I signed a contract with Dragonblade to extend it to a 14-book series.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. I love those long series where you get to fall in love with everybody and see them over and over again.
It's it's exciting, but it's daunting at the same time.
You got to eat the elephant one bite at a time. So
well, yeah. So, but this book, When an Earl Loves a Governess, is a little dark, a little angsty. We have Simon Montclair, who's the Earl of Easterling, and he is a widower. And his wife died under questionable circumstances. Not that he is rumored to have done anything to her, but there are questions about whether or not she actually committed suicide or whether it was an accidental death because she was addicted to absinthe. So, and he is raising his daughter by himself, and his mother-in-law, his wife's mother, has moved in, and she is not a very nice woman. She is very cold, very manipulative, very calculating. And she has been sort of systematically driving a wedge between Simon and his daughter because she's trying to make the granddaughter completely dependent on her so that she won't lose her position in this very wealthy and affluent household because she's basically broke and trying to take care of number one. But because his daughter is so clearly unhappy, Simon is trying to find a governess that will be a good fit for her and that will help her hopefully recover from her mother's death. So that's how he winds up going to the Darrow School and obtaining one of the Hellions from the Hellion Club, Vivian. And they become allies very quickly, and she sees through his mother-in-law right off the bat. She knows exactly what this woman is about. But I think both of them, the big thing is that they both continue to underestimate just how far this woman will go to secure her position. So there's a lot of trials and tribulations on the way to the happy ending. And it's very dramatic, but it's so good. I enjoyed writing this one so much.
Oh, good. I love when you get to have a heroine who has a relationship with the child or with a secondary character to the couple, and you get to know the people through somebody else rather than just the interaction back and forth between the hero.
Well, and I think it makes them more complete people. I think if you just focus solely on the relationship between the hero and the heroine, because we're all defined by our relationships to a degree, and I think it just narrows the view so much of who those people are.
Yeah, that's true of good villains too, I think.
Yes.
And you get to see more of someone when you get to see how they interact with a variety of people. Very cool. Very cool. And I'm looking forward to more of them. So so our third release this week is Mae Thorn's Notorious. I love the cover for this one. It is all the blue all the time. It's such a she's just like she looks so fierce. And it is the first book in the Poisonous Passions, is that right? Series?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Great. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
It takes place during the American Revolution, and she's a Tory daughter, which means her family is devoted to the crown,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes place in New York, and she has her brother becomes murdered, and she seeks revenge for that, and so she goes off and she rescues other patriots, and she's a Tory daughter. So, and it turns out the captain that is out to catch her is also the guy she's falling in love with. So it's really complicated.
It sounds it. I love the what is it? A bell in the a bell. I want to say a bell in the sheets, and I know that's not right. Or Slayer in the streets. All I can think of is the sheets part. But I love that idea of her looking like one thing and then being another thing too. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. It's interesting that that's a different time period from a lot of what Dragonblade does too. So it's very cool to be able to extend things
Yes.
that way.
Yeah,
Awesome. And you have more books in that series too?
Yeah, there's 3 books so far. I want to write 2 more, but the next one is Dangerous, which is kind of like my version of Northanger Abbey,
Oh
except I
yeah.
put murder in it.
Favorite?
And the third one is Rebellious, which is about a girl who becomes a highwayman or highwaywoman.
Very cool.
They're all connected through 2 of them are sisters and one's just a friend.
Oh, good. So we'll get to see the characters again. I love it when you get to see characters more than one time.
Yeah, you see the same characters.
Yeah, I love that part.
Throughout all of them.
Great. Great. Well, that sounds like so much fun. And like I said, the cover is like the cover for that one came across my desk, and I thought this has got to be like so. It seems notorious. It's very very female forward. Very very cool cover. So. Awesome. Well, ladies, can you talk a little bit about your writing process, about how it is that you go about planning your series? Is there a special place you work? I saw Cerise, you have a buddy moving along behind you.
Yes. This we call him Monsieur Albert. This is Bert. And he's coming to inspect because I'm talking, and he wants to know whether I have cookies or not.
So do you work in an office, or do you like to write out somewhere, or where do you like to write most?
You can see behind me where we just had the inside of the house painted. This is my office, and it's rather large, and I love it. I come here 5 days a week, and sometimes on weekends when necessary. And I have written in my own space. I'm very grateful for that for many decades. And I play no music. I don't talk. Well, I do talk to myself, but yes, all my reference books are here, and I spend 5 to 6 hours every day here. I do my email usually on my phone, and of course Facebook and parties and all that throughout the day. So I do enjoy working in a private space. My office is upstairs on one side of the house. My husband, who is still working, we're of a certain age, has his office at the other end of the house. And if he wants to ask me a question, he has to call me or else come visit and sit in my chair. So my process, I'm pretty much a person whose ideas come to me as a concept, and then the work. I'm thrilled with the concept to use usually, or I wouldn't write it. And then the hard work becomes of building a story arc and then building an overall arc. I can write outlines, but I don't always stick to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm part pantser and part planner.
So a plantster.
Yeah. Well, now there you go. I hadn't thought of that. Yes, a plantster. Yeah, true.
Very cool. You mentioned liking Brighton, and I know in the interview you put up on the Dragonblade website, and we'll also have an interview from Mae later on this week as well. You had pictures of places you visited.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that research and visiting something? Is that an inspiration for you? Is that something that?
Yes, it is. I have been to Brighton a couple of times, and my husband, who bears with me, comes to all the places that I designate. So I have walked these streets in Brighton and been to many of these places. I take the hero in book 2 to the pavilion, and I walk him through the fake chinoiserie, and it was fake.
Mm-hmm.
It came from China, but it was interpreted into a kind of Indian Mughal influence.
Mm-hmm.
I've walked the lanes, which is the shopping area, and I've been in many of these houses. I've also been to a place that many Regency writers and authors know. It's called Regency House in Hove, which is west of Brighton, kind of a suburb, and is a marvelous example that anyone can tour to see a working Regency townhouse.
Oh,
so
cool.
I like going to places. I take extensive notes. I talk to people. I'm rather boring when I travel, but
that depends on who you ask.
Like I was going to say, I think it depends on who you travel with, because it sounds pretty good to me.
Yes, it is. Well,
chance to sketch, I'm fine with all of that. So
yeah, we eat well and we drink good wine, so, or ale, as the case may be. So we know whereof we speak. Having lived in Washington, D.C., and knowing where one can turn and one cannot turn because of the arrangement of the streets, I have always valued someone who understands the place that they're writing about. And I'm very focused on that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Chasity, I know you write with a little one around. Now that you're extending the Hellion series, I know it's like that big sigh, like how many books get written. It's like plop them in front of the TV with a sippy cup full of chocolate milk and Teddy Graham. Like a pile of mommy guilt.
I restrict my writing to while he is at daycare or while he is asleep, because there is no writing while he's awake. He is very demanding. He likes all the attention all the time.
I don't see that they're like, I like all the attention all the time too.
He's an only child, and he's also an only grandchild, so he's very used to having all the attention. But yeah, so like I said, I write after he goes to bed, or I write during the day while he's at daycare. I wish I had a process. I wish I did. I don't. I just wing it all the time. I will start out generally like the broad strokes of the plot and the tropes that I want to utilize. Those will come to me first. And then I'll just sit and ruminate on that for a few days and kind of develop these characters in my mind and let them sort of tell me who they are. And then I just sit down and start writing. And I write chronologically. I start from page 1, chapter 1, and go straight through to the end. I'm not one of those people that hops around and writes a scene here and a scene there and cobbles it together. I would lose my mind if I tried.
I know. I have a girlfriend who does that, and every time it's like, how do you keep track of where
it causes me anxiety to even imagine writing that way. And I know there are people who do it and they do it incredibly well,
Yeah.
but my brain doesn't work like that. But yeah, and sometimes in the middle, it takes a turn and it is not the book you thought you were writing when you started, and you just have to go with it. The characters drive it always. So
did you have
fighting? I'm sorry.
Did you have a specific inspiration for the Hellion Club? Did you have something since it's become such a part of the series? Did you have something that led you to that to begin with?
Well, it was just this sort of idea that popped in my head, because not every woman in the Regency era was a wife, a mistress, or a spinster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were women out there who, because they didn't have the family connections, but they were still not impoverished, that they had to be working women in a non-exploitive manner. So I started thinking about that, and I came up with this idea of, you know, what about the illegitimate daughters of noblemen? Because a lot of times they did provide for their children in some ways, not all of them, but some of them did. And so I thought, what if there was a school specifically for that, for those women who were born out of wedlock to wealthy men? So that's kind of how the Hellion Club was born, of like, you know, they couldn't bring these illegitimate daughters out into society.
Right.
But they still needed to be able to provide for their future in some way. So I thought, well, you know, training them to be able to support themselves was the best they could do for them. So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah, I love that idea, you know, because they would have had everything except a place in society.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it was. They're on the fringe. So what do you do with them?
Yeah. Cool. Plus, it gives you so many places to go with different characters.
Yes.
You know, because you have a construct that you can build a whole entire web of characters.
It's become its own little world. And I hadn't really planned it that way, but there you go.
I've laid plans of mice and chastities.
I'm not planning anything. I'm just rolling with it. That's all I got.
So I started editing this past week. I'm like, these people are not the same people at the beginning of the book that they are halfway through. I don't know what happened, but I don't think it was my doing. You know, it's like
no,
completely changed their whole minds about everything. So, Mae, do you write in an office, or do you write out in the world? Are you a plotter or a pantser, or how do you like to structure it?
Write in different places. I usually write in my office, but sometimes I'm feeling, you know, kind of stuck, so I write like on the couch. And I have written on my phone too. Which is, I like writing in Google Docs and then just having it wherever I want it to be. And I'm definitely a pantser. I don't plan. I mean, I'll have a general idea. I mean, I want happily ever after at the end, right?
Yep.
So I work towards that, and I really don't plan. I do write down my characters, you know, the different aspects of them, because you know you're going to forget little bits of information like what's their hair color, you know, and so I have a little sheet for each book that I use for that. But aside from that, I use Romancing the Beat. That does help, you know, move forward.
Cool. So what led you to the time period that you're writing in?
What
was there something that was there something that was particularly interesting to you about that time period that made you decide to pick that for your books?
Well, I was kind of in a reading rut, and I really wanted to read something during the American Revolution. I couldn't find anything I really liked, so I decided to write something.
That makes sense.
So
I just kind of
fell into it.
So we talked a little bit, ladies, about about traveling as inspiration, and a little bit about writing process. Is there something that you all do for research? Is there something that, like, I know we all fall down rabbit holes.
Unlike Cerise, I do write with music. I think about kind of not necessarily the specifics of the story or the songs, but I try to find songs that fit the mood and set a tone for the story that I'm writing. And I will build an individualized playlist for every book that I write.
Oh, very cool.
So you can follow me on Spotify. They're all there.
Cool. How do we follow you on Spotify?
Just look up my name on Spotify.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, that's
and you'll find all my playlists for all my books.
I can see that if you have to jump back and forth too, that would be a great way to connect yourself with the story over and over again. If you have to.
Well, I used to write contemporary, and I also write paranormal, and then I write my straight Regencies. So I have to have something that sort of helps me get into that mindset.
Find the right flavor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. So Mae or Cerise, do you have things that you like to have when you write music, or specific books, or coffee or tea or bubble tea or something that works particularly well?
I'm terrified that I'm going to spill something on my keyboard, and so I don't eat or drink in my office. Sometimes I wish I drank, but usually I don't. And that's usually when I'm tearing my hair out, and I need to rethink something in the story. But I love referencing original volumes through Google. I'm very grateful for the internet to be able to go see something that is written of the period, and I subscribe. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, like there's so much information right there now. It's fantastic.
Yes. And I'm sorry. I was going to pick out a book here. It's called the Epicurus Almanac, and it was written during the Regency, and it's a nice fat book that cost me 1 arm and 2 legs, and it's all about food in the Regency. And I am a good cook. I leave my office every night, close the 2 doors, go downstairs, and handle knives and pots and pans and things. So I like food. I like to cook. But the other thing I like too is the British newspapers, the archives that are available to people to subscribe to. And so, for example, with the Naughty Ladies, I have actually read the Brighton area newspapers of that period. So I know when people come and people go, and where they're going to dance, and where the subscription balls are. And I changed the names to protect the innocent, and we're good.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that. I love that extra level of authenticity. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So here's my go-to.
Say it like Miss Austen.
It's basically a thesaurus of how Jane Austen would phrase things. So, like, if you wanted to just say somebody was crazy, if you go to the word crazy, you will have an example of phrases she used in her books.
Yes.
To describe that particular attribute of a person.
That's marvelous.
So this was a great find. And if you're struggling with your historical voice, if you are a struggling writer or an aspiring author out there wanting to write historical, I cannot recommend this enough.
So cool.
That's great.
Mae, do you have something that you do as part of your process? Something you have to have beside you, or music, or I need a cup of coffee even if I don't drink it, and if I don't have it, I reach for it, and it's not there, and it's like it stops my brain for a second. So I know that there are just some things that need to be in place. Do you have anything in particular that you like?
For inspiration, you mean?
Sure.
Sure.
Sure. That works. Inspiration works.
I like to drink coffee and big things of iced tea. That really helps me motivate. And for inspiration, generally I like to take bubble baths with wine.
That is great.
always
That is
inspiring.
such a good process.
It's a
Love
good
that.
process.
I love that process. That's a great one. That one should go on all of our lists, I think.
A nice long drive.
Mhm.
Like if I get in, I do my best thinking while I'm driving. So if I'm really stuck, if I just get in the car, put on the right playlist, get my head where I need it to be, and just drive. I drive down the road having conversations back and forth with my character, so I look like a crazy person. But it works. It helps.
Okay.
It's crazier than anybody else does, you know.
Right.
I hope people just think I'm singing along. That's what I tell myself.
Ladies, it was such a joy to talk to you this week. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. This was great. This was great.
You.
So I'm going to go ahead and pop the links for all the books in the comments of the chat. So if you haven't gotten them yet, you should grab them now. Dragonblade books are at their very best deal the week before, or the pre-order period, and then release day. So you want to grab them right away for your weekend reading. We've got 2 brand new series starting with Mae's Poisonous Passion and Cerise's Naughty Ladies, and then Chastity's continuation of the Hellion Club. So I'll make sure you have the link so you can grab all of them. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. We'll be back here at the same time next week.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.